I thought it was the worst script in the world when I first read it, until I realized it was a comedy.
I had no idea what it was about. I could not figure it out. I'm like, what? He summons pigs? Where do they come from? He's got a book. He reads the book and the pigs show up and they eat things and people. What movie am I doing?
Nowadays, it's just run-of-the-mill, this kind of stuff. But perhaps back, a third of a century ago, this was maybe a bit more of a avant-garde in the Grand Guignol tradition, so... but I don't think I realized it was banned in Europe until yesterday, actually, when I was Googling it.
I guess it's, thinking about it, it's why Carrie, I think, has stood the test of time. Because you feel so bad for the main character, and then here, when he gets his revenge, it's big time. It's really, he gets everybody. He get everybody who ever did anything wrong to him. He gets them. Nobody survives, and I think that's why. And I think you feel good. It's like he got justice.
My daughter, who was then I think about 7 or 8 years old, had seen a lot of stuff that I'd done before I did Evilspeak. And she said, "Dad," she said, "do you die in this one?" And I said, "Yes, honey." She said, "When you do die, finally it's going to be kind of strange, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, it's going to be repetitious."
Well, I went for an audition. It was a great big huge cattle call, and I really wanted to do this role. It was my first co-starring role, and I thought it would be really exciting to be killed by pigs. I always wanted to do a death scene. So, but I did not want to do nudity. That was something I was really uncomfortable with. So I thought, well, you know what, I'm just going to try something, kind of set myself apart. So I went out and I got some little rhinestone red G-string panties and a really sexy bra and a beautiful red see-through dress. And during the audition, I stripped. Yeah, and I said, it looks a little bit better with some underwear, don't you think? And so they said, yeah, and I got to keep my underwear. So I didn't have to do a totally nude scene. So I got involved by being gutsy.
But now, how did I get involved with Evilspeak? I think it was probably something like, would you like the job? And I'd say, let me think about it. Okay, sure. What was the job again? I play what? Father whom? Father Esteban, yes. It will be my pleasure to essay this characterization for you.
I got involved in Evilspeak by accident, actually. We had been canceled. What's Happening was canceled, and I kind of took a year off, just took a break. I was a little tired. I was planning to go to school, so I was on my way back to the East Coast for architectural school. Although I was a New York resident, still with the Jackie Coogan law, most of the money from What's Happening was in trust fund, and I was like 17, turning 18, and it hadn't been released yet. So I said, well, I know I want to go to school and I needed to pay up front. So I said, and I was often with my parents, I wouldn't dip into my monies. I would do other things. There was a time when I decided to go down to Kings Harbor in Redondo Beach, California, and I signed myself onto the fishing boat as a shipmate. And I was the guy that untangled lines and tied hooks. And then on the trip back home, I'm the one that filleted all the fish. And I did it to make extra money, which I used to pay for some of the luxuries I enjoyed. Had I not done that, I felt that I might have got some pushback from my parents on the things I wanted to do. So, and the Porsche was one of them, because my mom is West Indian, in Barbados, and she was like, "No, you're not having a Porsche." But a Porsche? Yeah, right. Yeah, I got your Porsche. There was no way that I was having a Porsche. But I wanted one. So when it came time to go to school, I needed a little extra. And, I had my agent, my manager, and the whole bit. There was a whole process that I'm connected to. But I heard about this film. And I read about it, I had no idea what it was really about. I just knew I was told that it was a military film, military school film. And I said, well, you know what? Coming off of the character Dwayne, this would be great to go do a military school type film. I could totally change my persona. This is awesome. I think I'll do it. So I went to the audition, you know, my normal process, you know, the picture resume. I was all pumped and ready. I did all my exercises and went in, met Weston, the director, Eric, and I read for them. And I screen tested. And he had only given me sides to read. I never got the whole script. I was being a little haphazard, kind of handling it on my own. I needed the money, and I was ready to do some more acting right away. So I just said, okay, I'll do it. And he offered me the film, and I went, yes. And then, so I go back home, and I finally get my call, and it was up in Santa Barbara. So I jumped in this Porsche, and I drive up to Santa Barbara and did my fittings, you know, for wardrobe and the whole bit. And that's when I got my first copy of the script. And I read it, and I was like, oh, no, I'm in trouble. My manager, my agent, my mom wouldn't mind, because my mom and my brother and I love horror films. We love macabre. This is what we liked. Growing up, my mother was a Bela Lugosi fan and a Lon Chaney Jr. fan. So my brother Gary and I grew up with my mother at late nights on weekends watching all these different movies. So my mom probably wouldn't have had as much of a problem, but I knew that my agent and my managers would. They would lose their minds. So I just kept it to myself. I says, well, it is what it is. I don't understand. I'm reading all these things in this film with these pigs and all this stuff. I don't know, man. Sounds like the occult to me. Oh, no. But I want to do this. It's a challenge, and I think I'm going to try it. And I went for it.
Well, Evilspeak was the third film I'd done, and the second film I did, which was Rock and Roll High School, I did with Clint Howard, and it was also kind of a lot of the same crew, and so I was recommended for Evilspeak, and wound up doing 2 pictures in a row with Clint Howard, which was pretty funny.
Here comes Cooper Dick. Come on, here. Looks great. Come on.
He's a great guy. You know, he and his brother, Ron Howard, you might have heard of him, what was really great, they were just raised like normal people, even though they, from very, very early on, they were in show business. They were child actors. But their parents and their father, well-known actor, they raised them to just be normal people. Like, okay, you came home from the set, you were the star of the show, go take out the trash. And it really showed because they just grew up being just normal, decent, great people. And I really enjoyed getting to know Clint and, you know, and we had a lot of fun on Rock and Roll High School and then on Evilspeak.
I had worked with Clint before in another film, and I can't even remember what it was. It was so long ago. So I knew that he was not a spoiled kid, and he was not. He's a hard worker.
I think that Clint is just quiet, period. I think that's just his personality. Not so much shy, but, you know, he's not I didn't find him to be the most effusive guy. He didn't really reach out. But then when spoken to, he was one of the kindest, nicest people I had ever spoken to.
Hey, you take one of my tools.
No.
Somebody took my crowbar.
Well, I'm sure it'll turn up. I'll keep an eye out for it. I have to go.
I really, really like Clint Howard. And I have never seen him again since that. I'm sure we'll run into each other somewhere along the line, and it'd be great to see him again, you know. But he was very, very nice and kind to me, and a very gentle kind of a spirit, you know. And at the time, like I said, he was extremely, extremely focused.
Okay, Clint Howard I love him. I've always loved him. He put so much into, you know, his work, and this was not an exception. He worked hard, and he didn't have to, but I had one person to read opposite, and it was him. Because when we did that little scene where he comes in and asks me where the book is, and I go, I don't know. He was standing in the hall and read opposite me. So I think he went above and beyond. I really enjoyed working with him.
It was interesting because Clint and Eric got into a fight. And Eric was just picking on him and bawling him out and chewing him out, and I was almost like ready to intervene, like, geez, this isn't right. What's going on between? I was asking the crew members, what's going on? I was about ready to go, cool it, man. And actually, what he did was he was making Clint cry for a scene, so and it worked. So I have to take my hats off to both of them. So he achieved an emotional result. I didn't realize what was happening, and it was quite effective. So he was able to deliver the goods. That's serious. So I was impressed that the director and actor worked together like that.
I remember Eric was, he seemed really ambitious to me. I can't say could say that I knew him well, but he seemed like he was really anxious and ambitious about getting this thing done, perhaps even under a little bit of pressure and I know he must have been feeling some kind of a weight on him to make this thing come off correctly. He was very gracious to me because he realized I'm coming off of what's happening and I'm doing his movie. And he knew more about his movie than I knew about his movie. So he was very accommodating to me. And I would have to say, if I had to pick one word, I would say accommodating, very. He's quite a ladies' man. I watched him from a distance and I could see him working the women and the actresses on the set.
We were all, teenagers, and we were interested in being actors and being in the movie, but we were also interested in the girls who were in the movie. So he would often say, hey, keep your mind on the script. Keep your mind on the script. Keep your mind on the movie. Because he could see it. He knew.
I just wanted to say, well, to tell you, I'm sorry. I thought you were the best.
And he talked like this, and his brother, who was the prop master, he talked like this. And so the two of them talking, we need some more, okay. And his brother, it was the first time I ever heard this expression, he used to say, all right, stick a fork in me, I'm done. we used that for like the whole movie, like, all right, stick a fork in me, I'm done. In the famous scene where we kill Cooper Smith's dog, that was actually shot in a basement, and it was lit, like for a movie. But Eric wasn't getting the performance out of us. He wasn't getting the real fear factor. So he had them shut off all the lights, and it was pitch black, And he actually went around very stealthily and very quietly, and like grab your arm, So that's the kind of performance he wanted. And then he brought the lights up, and of course he's like, all right, now that's what I want to see. Now do it. He'd had it with us at that point. So I want to see some real fear. So he created some fear.
I had a love-hate thing for the puppy scene because the puppy was an impetus to get him to go against everyone, and it was wonderful because he wasn't happy, and this cook was really nice to him and gives him a puppy, and the puppy gave him purpose, and then these guys kill the puppy. But the nice thing about it was they did not show, it was suggested. They never showed the puppy actually, being killed. It was just suggested with, blood being around and stuff like that. And then he was actually holding a stuffed toy, and it was kind of done at a distance. So I appreciated that. But the puppy thing, it really stood out.
Arf.
Actually, I did some stunt work in this. I mean, I didn't know I was going to be doing stunt work, but that actually was a stunt. They had a balsa wood panel inside of this confessional, and I actually had to thrust my head through this balsa wood panel with blood all over my face, and then they had artificial pigs. They had pig puppets, I guess, in their hands, on the other side waiting for me. But I had to do, I think I did 3 takes of that. So I was bursting my head through this balsa wood thing, and I remember Eric Weston was really, really happy with that. He thought that was great that we pulled off the stunt and me not being a stuntman. And then the other thing where I was kind of a stuntman was the fire. The fire was really hot. I mean, we were laying down and I could feel the fire. I don't think we were ever in any danger. I don't know, but I don't think we were. But I was only a teenager. What did I know? But the fire, I've never been that close to fire, and so feeling that behind me, I didn't have to pretend fear in that scene. Eric didn't have to shut off the lights for that scene. I was a little scared.
Oh my goodness, the death scene was amazing. Again, it was done late at night, really spooky time at night, and it was done in a mock bathroom, and I was to be in the shower, and I was supposed to be scared, and Eric helped me again to get the right looks on my face at the right time, and the pigs were outside of the bathroom. Door was closed, and there were 3 little wires that were across the bathroom door that were supposed to keep them away from me, because I was supposed to take my shower and then go see the pigs, but the pigs went right through the wires. And I was like, that scream was pretty real, because I was like, are you kidding me? And I ended up having to jump in the bathtub. Thank goodness it was a large bathtub, and the crew had to get them away from me. So that was pretty exciting. And then actually getting killed by the boar head puppets, it was kind of cool. And then, seeing that fake body be pulled apart, because they took grenadine pockets and put it in the dummy, and then they put apple juice, around it so that they would go in and chew it, and the grenadine would shoot out, so it was fun.
There was some really great character actors besides Claude Earl Jones, who I knew from his work in movies and TV.
You know the Colonel's policy as well as I do. Everybody plays 2 out of every 4 quarters. Now, what the hell do you expect me to do about that, huh?
There was a couple of really great character actors that they hired. R.G. Armstrong, who had been in tons of the great westerns from the golden age of Hollywood, and worked with John Ford and all these great people. So it was a thrill to work with him. And then there was Charlie Tyner. That face had been in a million movies, playing a million different characters. And then this is great. The guy who sleeps with the fishes, Lenny Montana, aka Luca Brasi, he was in the movie too. So that was really cool to be working with him. And that's the funny part. Is Luca Brasi, the killer from The Godfather, was one of the nice people in this movie. He was playing like someone who took care of and tried to help Cooper Smith, as opposed to the other people who were trying to kill him, molest him, all those terrible things.
Eric was smart enough to cast good, strong actors. And even in the minor roles, these kids like Don Stark and Lauren Lester, who were teenagers at the time, but they were both good young actors. They work an awful lot. You see Lauren on television all the time. And I was kind of his mentor for years, but mainly I was just his good friends, which still are good friends. And he sat beside me when I was directing, and he directs now as well. So I'm kind of proud of him.
One of the best things that ever happened coming out of Evilspeak was that we became such good friends, and we actually worked together in stage productions with Claude as a director, actually with me as a director, directing Claude. So, and we've just been kindred spirits. We started talking about we're both theater lovers, so we started talking about theater on the set because there's a lot of downtime, and knew instantly that we had the same views of theater. And I learned so much from him. I was a teenager at the time, and I learned so much from him about theater, and it was great to just have this lifelong friendship.
I kind of became like a father surrogate to him because he had no father, and my dad had been dead since I was 14 or 15 years old. So, but Lauren is one of those very special young actors, and I would be very surprised if not someday he'll get the right role and you're going to see him then as a star, because he's a hell of a good actor.
When I arrived on the set, most knew who I was. And, when I came on the set, not trying to be more than anyone else or acting more than anyone else, because that's just not the nature of me. However, I was coming off of what's happening. I was arriving, on the set in this sports car, and I was financially okay. So my situation was quite a bit different than those that I was working with. And I think that it may have caused, a little bit of jealousy and some animosity towards me as a result that I knew nothing about at first. It reared its head later because I found that whoever it was puncturing the Pirellis of my Porsche. So every day I would come off the set and I would come down and my rear tire would be flat. And so then I'd make a phone call, and $400 later, $400 or $500 later, I'd have a new tire. And then the next day, another one would be flat. And it really stressed me out, because the whole reason why I was on this thing is to get some acting opportunity, aside from what's happening, so I wouldn't be typecasted, and get the money out of it so that I can go on to school. And now this thing is draining me. So ultimately, I ended up removing the car from the set altogether. Took it back to LA and left it, and came back up with no car.
So we shot a lot in Santa Barbara at the actual Santa Barbara Mission and sort of the adjunct school there, and there were priests walking around because they were supervising the caretaking of the historic building, and I remember a priest was watching once, and he had one of those long flowing robes. I don't remember, maybe he was a priest or a monk, I don't remember. But he was watching, in the church with the cross and the blood all over the place and everything. And I said, does this creep you out a little bit? And he said, no. I said, why? And he said, well, it's what the scripture says. We believe it. So.
I vaguely remember some of those flashbacks and satanic rituals and things. Yeah, I mean, in campus life, the shots on campus. But this character has similarities to others I've played. For example, in Dungeon Master, where I had fingernails this long, very similar. So there's a bunch of characters. So it's not all the memories are as vivid and as sharp as one might think after this mere 33 years, which is a third of a freaking century if you think about it. So I played a guy who was half ox, a guy who was half snake for PBS, very artistic film, and just any variety of strange. The reason I was bald for Night Court is because I was playing Hurok, leader of the Cyclopeans, a race of bald, one-eyed, desert-dwelling mutants. So it was by fortuitous circumstance. That was for the film Metal Storm, the destruction of Jared's sin. You remember that one?
3D.
I think it opened on an airline. I don't know what happened with it, but yeah, 3D, exactly. Charlie Band, and so it was about that time I got the audition for Night Court, and I had pretty much the bald head. And they said, "Richard, this shaved head looks good. Will you shave your head for the part?" I said, "Are you kidding? I'll shave my legs for the part. I really don't. That would be great."
I'm really amazed and surprised always when something that I've done a long time ago continues to have a lot of interest. And so when I do conventions for animation, I was the voice of Robin and Nightwing in the original Batman series, and because Rock and Roll High School is a cult film, when I do these conventions, I'm often asked about Evilspeak. So Evilspeak has had this life. I don't know that it had much of a life when it first came out. I don't really remember, but I do remember in the years since, people often ask me about it, write letters to me about it.
I got a lot of fan letters at first, and occasionally I'll get, someone will find me like on Facebook or something and say something. But as far as being recognized, no, not really. I really wasn't. I was recognized for other work that I did, but not Evilspeak. I guess it's because I was wearing glasses. I don't know, maybe it's fooled people. But no, I didn't really get recognized. I got jobs because of it, but as far as fans stopping them on the street, mm-mm.
I went to in Charlotte, North Carolina. They had a photograph signing, for actors for a lot of things. And I don't ordinarily do those, but I did get do this one. It was interesting. It's like you feel like you're walking out of there with a bag of money. They help pay for the picture. You feel like you just robbed some parking meters or something. But and there may have been some speak of evil there, some talk of Evilspeak, no pun intended, or possible posters being brought or whatever, because you'll see posters from people will bring posters from films that you did, and you'll sign them. So I think Evilspeak may have been among that.
It surely is a unique movie. So for any horror fan, it doesn't follow the whole paradigm that we expect from horror movies. I mean, this one was quite a departure. I think it was a very interesting film in that it really got into the plight of this character and his loneliness or his isolation, and then the redemption. For him to redeem, you know, his life by getting back at those who really were mistreating him. It was almost like Carrie. It had that Carrie, it really had that Carrie feel to it. But in a whole different paradigm. It was just different. And I think that on the shelf of somebody who likes horror films, it's a must-have. You have to have it. If you don't have it, you've pretty much left yourself out of the loop of the collectibles that are part of horror movies. If I had to add anything about Evilspeaks, I would say it would be to the fan base. That you're much appreciated. It's a valid part of film history, especially the genre of horror and thriller. And I look at it more like a thriller than even a horror. It's a great thriller film. And, you know, it's nice that there are those who could find the redeeming qualities in it and help keep it alive. And, you know, for me, it's a fun film. So I'm very much appreciative of your support, the fan base.
Well, it's just great fun to do horror films generally for me, because I get to play the really fun parts, and Father Esteban is among those. And horror films are colorful and vivid and sick, frankly, and they presage the decline of Western civilization. So keep on going, you guys. No, it was an enjoyable experience. Did I have qualms about playing a satanic priest? I love this guy.